It's an exciting time to be in public policy because a lot of things are being turned upside down. So there's a huge number of challenges. There's the obvious ones which worry me and are very prevalent, dealing with the climate and the way it's changing, dealing with demographic pressures. Some parts of the world age and others still have a very young population, such as in Africa. And then there's issues such as what the digital future society is dealing with, which is about the digital transformation. Digital transformation's been going on for really more than 50 years in some ways. But something happened with the smartphone in the mid-2000s. And we began to see just these torrents of data being produced from about 2007 on. And it's what's called the 3 V's, the volume, the velocity, and the variety of data have just exploded. And this gives us new capabilities, but huge new policy challenges that really we've never confronted before. It's more than just issues of privacy. It's about issues of value creation in the firm. The fundamental prerequisite for governments are skills. They need skilled people that can work with data to create analytical value for governments and for clients of government. The problem is these data scientists are scarce and their prices are being bid up by companies who need them as well. And I've talked to a lot of people, these big tech firms, who are a little disillusioned and would be happy to go work for a government or an international organization where they can use their skills if they think it will make a difference. And I'm inspired by that. So it's not just about money. So maybe we need a new type of civil government corps that calls on these people. Maybe they only spend 2 or 3 years and then they rotate out. But I think it's a great opportunity not only for these data scientists, but for governments themselves. Innovation is an important element of almost any solution to various problems that afflict society and the economy. What I don't like is when policymakers kind of just list it first and nothing else. Because to me, that's a bit of an easy answer. I think what you need better is that policy mix. Innovation needs to be part of it, but other things such as structural adjustment, you got to move out of old sectors, mature sectors. There's always going to be a gap between where the policy world is and where the technology world is. I mean, you're never going to be able to eliminate it. The question is, how do you narrow it? In 2013, we started work in this more modern era, and then in 2015 came out with what I think was a really good foundation stone for our work. It was a report called Data-Driven Innovation, and that looked broadly at the new era of data, some of the challenges, and some of the opportunities. I mean, there's great new things we can do to improve how we make policies, how we integrate them, and how we evaluate them that we've never been able to do before. The next step for the OECD on this is, I think it's very likely that in 2021, 2022, we will undertake another one of these broad-based projects that just looks at data and the changing nature of it in terms of economic value, in terms of how policy should adapt to it, and how policy making can become much more agile and iterative. And we have to get used to maybe taking the bigger picture here and sitting back and saying, okay, what are the policy priorities? Privacy is clearly one of them. But in some cases, we may want to weigh it against other social priorities. I think we may need new institutions. We may need new government officials to take this to a higher level and see it from a more of a whole government perspective. I think citizens have to become more savvy about it too. They have to understand that when they go to their favorite search engine and type in that search term, there's an implicit exchange going on of value. It's about people becoming aware, and it's about practicing what some people call digital hygiene. Regulations can help with some of this by enforcing penalties. There is a balance here between being too strict and too protective versus allowing firms to experiment in this new world and figure out how to use this to create economic value, jobs, and innovation. When you really look at each of these tech platforms, they're very different business models. They're very different companies. So what's the right policy? It's hard. because these are global players and we are bound by these sovereign bodies. I'm hopeful that organizations like the OECD, the European Union, G20, the UN can begin to grow in their sophistication about these different companies and how to begin to work with them to make sure that their activities are in line with policy objectives. It's good. Policymakers can sense this digital transformation and they're trying to prepare. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to ride the wave. There's going to be mistakes, but that's where places like the OECD can help exchange best practices between countries to try to figure out what works best in this new era. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we're much better poised now than we were in those previous big tech shifts, but it's no time to be complacent.